here's what I want to, I know we at the final segment on this, but I think one of the things we have not covered, which is very important, we've shared all our different perspectives, but the one perspective we have not had a discussion about is the fact that how you perceive yourself is many times how you project the energy off that you're receiving sometimes. And that's not just women, that's also men. Because a lot of times men are always saying they want a good woman, but they keep flirting with the one who they already know it's not worth creating a family with. And so therefore, you constantly meeting women who are okay with your way of verbally, in my opinion, disrespecting a woman. And that's because, and you think it's okay, and well, she was this, she was that, but it's not about her. Sometimes it's about you, sir. And women, sometimes you say that guys are so disrespectful, but sometimes it's not them, it's you. So we need to talk about our own perceptions of ourselves. Because if we don't like the kind of attention that we're getting, is it always the people, or is it sometimes us? Now, sometimes it's not fair, because you're going to get, like you said, and I totally agree, many times you're going to get certain types of attention from certain people. But if almost every single person is approaching you the exact same way, at some point you have to stop and say, is there something that I'm projecting off? Because if it was not me, I should be receiving a mixture of people who approaches me with compliments that are respectful, and of course you're going to have your little mixture of disrespect in there. But if everybody who's coming across my path is disrespecting me, I have to ask myself, is this something that I'm projecting, or is it just the population disrespecting me?
I think along the lines of projecting too, though, I think it's also one thing to say, is it that self-preservation? Am I dressing up and going and hanging out with my girls to make myself feel better and dress this way? But then you still carry yourself in that depreciated mood, because we've said on a previous discussion during one of our calls about men being a lot like lions and predators, and you see that weakness, and the first thing that you do is attack it. You pursue it. You go after it.
But the background.
Yeah, the background was the dog. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
That's that predator. It was right on cue.
Right on cue.
But in addition to that, I think what comes out of men's mouth at times when they are not happy with themselves is that they tend to lash out.
Yeah.
And as they're lashing out and being disrespectful to these women, it has a lot more to say about how they feel about themselves, how they see themselves, and how they're projecting their image. If they can subjugate a woman by objectifying her, it makes him feel better.
I want to throw this one at you, Jackie, because now we need to get into the meat of this whole conversation. And a lot of times it has to do with how we grew up, our perceptions of ourselves, meaning from childhood. If we grew up in a home where we were not valued, or we seen a display of mama dressing this way and my sister's dressing this way, and it just perpetuates. So again, sometimes maybe a childhood impact could have caused us to see ourselves, and that goes for guys too, which means that, hey, my mama didn't treat me well, or whatsoever else, or my auntie did this to me, or whatsoever else. So now I just see women and I'm going to disrespect them no matter what they do. No matter how respectful they are, I'm just going to approach them that way. So what does our childhood play into this situation? How does that go?
I think for females, in a big sense, not just females, because when you look at the childhood, if you listen to stories, childhood affected men and women basically the same. I mean, being raped, molested by relatives, or just being devalued as a female, or not having a father. Because the first man a woman loves is a man, they're her father. Well, most of them being raised by single moms. Most single moms were raised by single moms. So no one taught the next generation how to be mom. No one taught them the ins and outs, the rights and wrongs. So you have a lot of young mothers being mothers, so therefore they are dressing according to their age bracket, because they are young mothers. They're young mothers that start, but see, that's not a new thing. Young motherhood is not new. Young motherhood is an old school thing. But the difference was, back in the old school, we had children because we needed, we married to get away from our parents too. The husband took us away, provided the roof, the farm. We had children to help raise, to harvest the farm. So it was a different mindset. this is a different world. We no longer are farming land. We no longer need our children to go out there and help pull crops and pick cotton and to bring everything in. We now have to educate these children, what costs us money. We're already a struggling society. We're already a struggling community. So, having more and more kids in that, and unfortunately, this is a statement that was made to me by one of my daughter's friends. She says, Mrs. Smith, there's no paycheck when it comes to the education, but there's an immediate paycheck if I go ahead and have this baby. You see, welfare reimburses me each time I lay down and pump out another kid. Where society, I gotta go pay all these thousands and thousands of dollars to maybe get a job that maybe will allow me to feed my family and to repay back a debt that I now owe for being educated. So I'm gonna take the shortcut. I'm gonna show off the puppies. I'm gonna show the gift God has given me, so I can get me a baller. I can get me a lawyer. I can get me a man that's making 6 figures. I can get me a football player. And if I can have me one baby, my rent's paid for the rest of my life.
That's familiar.
Because you're going to lock me in the deal.
So, okay, so you give me an option. My option is, yes, I could be a better woman for myself, for my community, for my kids, for my family. But the bottom line is the easier, less resistant road is to show you my goods, have you crawl up on it, and produce me a lifetime paycheck.
Well, along the lines too, when you asked the question about the single mother thing, a single mother with a boy is different than a single mother with a girl.
Yes.
She's not going to rear that girl the same way. They're going to spoil the boy because they want the boy to be a better man than the man that isn't there to raise him.
Right.
That's the concept. But in the end, they're still not raising him to be a man.
Right.
And so that's not good. And then in the alternative, when they're raising the girls, they typically are being tougher on them to toughen them up so they won't be weak like they
Right.
were.
That's right.
So they won't be in that position.
That's right.
Once again, neither of those is a nurturing environment for
Right.
that child.
But you're doing the best they can do
Absolutely.
on the level that you're playing with. See, the game is a part of conflict of life. The game is, okay, let's introduce you to a whole array of different scenarios from all over the place. Because every place is not like the United States. We often hear from men how women of, overseas, international level. Well, it's the truth. We often hear about, how women that's not American are less aggressive, are more submissive.
What type of you was saying?
What?
See where Eddie Murphy is. Bark like a dog.
So there we have different concepts of what it takes to be a good woman. And a good woman doesn't necessarily mean showing your goods and taking the cheaper way to the paycheck. Because as we can see by Eva, is it the chick who was married to Ocho? She's now pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
6 months pregnant.
Right. By who?
I don't know who she's pregnant by.
Hey,
But
I know my business
my
here.
theory is this, look, girl, you have your own business. You are able to feed, clothe, and finance yourself.
Absolutely.
Why do you need to spread your leg to an athlete to get pregnant to guarantee what?
She was a basketball. I'm
She
sorry.
was a basketball
Football.
housewife.
What
No,
about-
it was basketball.
But she was what I'm.
But then she went to football. Because it's all
She need a
about
hockey show.
It's all about the dollar bills. It's all about the
But
dollar
let
bills.
me throw this out there, and I want us to talk to the guys because we've been dealing a lot with the women, but I want to talk to the men. Guys, here's the deal: it doesn't matter how she's acting. The fact is that you should be respectful of all women, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because that's somebody's daughter, and that's somebody's possible mother. And what you don't understand is sometimes women are acting a certain way because they've been hurt by us guys. And so therefore they don't know how to act any different. But we as men who's supposed to be leaders, we're supposed to know how to treat a woman. If you don't, then, and you could have a reason why. Maybe your father wasn't there to teach you, maybe you had no example. Just take a look at the person, not as how she's dressing, how she's dancing, but you know what if this was my mother? Would I want to treat my mother the way I'm treating this person? Because the way you treat other people, there's an old term called you reap what you sow. The law of reciprocity is what it's called. The law of reciprocity. You're going to reap what you sow. So every time you keep putting out disrespect to somebody else, you better believe you're going to get it back. The fact and the problem is that you don't know when you're going to get it back, you don't know how you're going to get it back, and you don't know from whom it's going to come. Because when you toss something out, you better believe it's going to come back. So here's the deal. Be respectful no matter how she's acting, because how she acts has no variance on how you're supposed to be acting. Be respectful at all times. That's all I'm saying to you. Mr. Reed, anything else you got to say on this?
Well, I was thinking of the old saying, when you said the old saying, I was waiting for do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah.
I mean, the short of it is be respectful. Respect yourself and respect others, and you'll get what you're supposed to get.
Right. And then here's the last but not least. Of course, you know I got more to say.
Here we go. The soapbox is coming out.
Here it is.
The soapbox is coming
Here
out.
it is. The fact is, sometimes it's the way you're treating people is the reason why you're not getting what you want. So many of us guys say we want a good woman, but look at how you're treating her. So even if you were blessed with a good woman to come into your path, you wouldn't even know how to treat her. So here's the deal. You want to get into the habit and practice right now, even with a disrespectful woman, even with a woman who you perceive is not worth your time. Even then, you can still get practice in on how to treat this woman respectfully so that I'm being conditioned mentally for when the good one comes. Because a lot of times you have already missed your opportunity because you was so disrespectful out there until when that good one came, you didn't even realize it because you was too busy doing your thing, having a great time showing off in front of the boys and didn't realize your blessing just walked in and it just walked right back out. Ain't that right?
That's hot. But here, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, gentlemen. So how is a woman supposed to know, how is she supposed to know the good apple from the, because y'all play a good game, at least y'all tried. At least y'all tried. Y'all tried to play a good game, but how does a woman know?
I'll
How
tell
does
you.
a woman know?
I'll tell you exactly how you
Well,
can
you
know.
do it quick.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
By listening to the next show. We are not going to give that away. You're going to have to come back for another episode. Listen, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to today's show. We have had a great time. We have been talking today about we women are more than their lips, hips, and thighs. How women are behaving, how they're showing off, and also how men are actually talking to them respectfully versus disrespectfully. So again, this has been a good show. But again, we're going to talk a little bit more, go in detail at a different time. So stay tuned. Also, don't forget to join our Facebook fan page, which is The Conflicts of Life. We have had over 200,000 people. Man, we have had over 100 and some thousand people in like 3 months. Man, that's crazy. So that page is blowing up. Make sure you want to join on there. Our website is www.theconflictsoflife. And our email address is questions, with an S, questions@theconflictsoflife. All right. Stay tuned. We'll be back for another hot show. Until then,